Sorry, guys. My Wi-Fi, my connection went bad. Don't know what that was about. So now we'll wait for everybody to come back in. Howdy. Howdy, howdy. I'm glad because I don't know where everybody else is at. Probably still stuck in Never Never Land. Yep, they will. But I need to go to... Oh, I guess I didn't give it a title. That's okay. Let's see, can I... Oh, no, I can't because... I will repost the zoo tour thing. That's the zoo tours link. What else? Oh, yeah. Ay, ay, ay. That really stunk. I am not gonna lie. Okay. Oh. How's everybody doing? You guys are really quiet. Mine says 3. Hi, Baron. I don't have a video for the vulture aviary at the other zoo, so I'm not going to go there. So, we are now transitioning from talking about the Galapagos to talking about the vulture aviary at Zoo Magdeburg. I'm eating cereal. You can check it out. Whoops. There are videos. That's the name of the zoo. It is in Germany, which is another reason I did not post about the exhibit from YouTube, because I'm pretty sure all of the videos would either be silent or in German. So there is that. There are other zoos in Europe who have vulture aviaries. Well, this is a different zoo. So we were in Houston talking about the Galapagos. We are now in Germany talking about a different exhibit. Baron, I have no idea what you're talking about. Please be on topic. So this exhibit that we are about to check out is the vulture aviary at the Magdeburg Zoo. This is a completely walk-through exhibit that is home to bearded vultures, palm-nut vultures, Ruppel's vultures, hooded vultures, African comb ducks, marabou storks, South African porcupines, mongooses, and they did have secretary birds. The topic is the vulture aviary at the Magdeburg Zoo. FT, I don't understand your question. So I will answer it when I'm done. So the zoo is making use of an area that was originally home to their elephant herd. So they've taken out the elephants, maybe moved them, whatever. They don't have the secretary birds anymore because they also display mongooses. And I just gave you the topic, Baron. The secretary birds didn't work out because they attacked the mongooses. So the animals have indoor space and outdoor space. Yeah, they're a bird, that normally feeds on snakes and small mammals. They just didn't work out, so I don't know if they completely got rid of them or they just moved them. The animals have 221.4 feet of indoor space. What, Carol? So they have 221.4 feet of indoor space or 67.5 meters of inside space. Outside space for these animals, they have 765 meters or 2,509 feet. The aviary covers 765 square feet and 8,230. Whoa, I messed up. Sorry. It is 765 square meters or 8,234 square feet. It is 8 meters tall in the center and 7 meters along the sides. That is 29 feet tall at the center and 22 feet tall along the sides. Now, like I said, it does feature mongooses and porcupines. Yes, I do. The porcupines cannot get to you, but you can view them from inside the enclosure. As well as the mongooses actually run around you. Everything except for the porcupines has access to your space, including the vultures. It opened in 2017. And yes, if you're wondering, you can experience the thrill of having a close encounter of the vulture kind in the exhibit. Given the nature of vultures, there are staff inside the exhibit at all times. The zoo is engaged in breeding the vultures as well, and the animals can be viewed from the outside of the exhibit as well as the inside. So, and all of the animals can be viewed in that way. You do not have access to their inside space, so just something to be aware of. I'm never going to visit this place. But I thought it would provide good contrast for our venture into the Galapagos. I don't seem able to it could be hotter in places. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not a meteorologist. Yeah, it's really cool. A really great tool that I love to use when I'm doing research is it's a website called Zulex, and they give you so much information. They give you the animals in the exhibits. They tell you how many of those animals they have in the exhibit. So, for example, there are only 2 bearded vultures, 4 palm nut vultures, somewhere between 8 to 10 Rupel's vultures, 4 hooded vultures, 3 African comb ducks, 4 marabou storks, and so on and so forth. I'm going to try to show you pictures. This is the view. That's the exhibit. There's some trees and some perches for them to perch on. There is a pond that the vultures and the ducks have access to. There is bamboo. They have a hot wire around the lower sections on the outside. That is to keep foxes from getting into the exhibit, because apparently there are wild foxes around the outside of the zoo. Oh, I'm sure they do. This is the inside of the exhibits. I love the pond and the trees. Personally, I think they could use more, but what do I know? If it were me, I would have more, but I guess they do have other trees. And the vultures do use the rocks. They retained one of the shade structures that were in for the elephants, and they put in logs for you to sit on. It is very important for the animals. That is absolutely 100% true. That's the shade structure. And it looks like they have educational information on around the shade structure. But when I say that when I say that you can get pretty close to the vultures, that is exactly what I mean. Also, today's video will be posted late. So there you can see just how close the vultures can get to you. And the fact that there are people coming and going through that exhibit probably also gives the animals a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Enrichment. Yes. There's lots of signage both inside and outside the exhibit because that is vital. You want to be educated. There is a wall separating the porcupines from the rest of the exhibit. So that's nice. I don't think you have access to the to those areas. Now, this is, whoa. I don't know if you can see those. Those are the nesting boxes. And the vultures are actually sort of on top of the nesting boxes. Looks like they're sunning themselves. I think they not only have outside nesting boxes, but they can also go inside as well. Hi, AAD. We are talking about the vulture aviary. Hold on. They do have indoor nesting. I don't think their indoor area is not as nice as the outside. But that's okay sometimes. Sandbags? No, that is rock. That is a rock wall. And the vultures, they like to get up on top of the nesting area, their nest boxes, and spread out their wings and sunbathe. So there's 2 bearded vultures, 4 palm nut vultures, 8 to 10 Rupels vultures, and 4 hooded vultures. Yeah. They're not really designed to make kills. Marabou storks, on the other hand, they make kills. No plants in their diet. Yep. I like how the zoo space that was not originally meant for animals such as vultures, but they went in and they took a part of that exhibit, the old exhibit, and they transformed it and made it completely something different. I don't know how long it took for them to do that. I do know that they have been breeding. And rather, that means that the animals that they breed stay within Europe's collections. Or if that means that they breed and release into the wild. So I'm not really sure. Hi, Mike. Either way, it's really cool. So when I do the European zoos, I use a lot of the information that I get from Zoolex to fill in the blanks, because they're Carol can tell you the European zoos give us headaches, or give me headaches and Carol headaches. Finding exhibits to match up with the North American zoos is really hard. No, they're not related. If you're from the United States, AAD, blue jays and other jays are related to crows, as are ravens. But vultures are birds of prey within that group. There is another website that I just discovered that lists different zoo animals, and from there you can find out what species are housed where. The problem with this site is that, like, the secretary birds are listed in the exhibit, but they're not displayed there. So I don't know what to think. Well, I don't just discuss animals, but thank you. Do I have any dinos? Are you asking if I have dinosaurs? Yeah, I have dinosaurs. Not right now. Thank you, ADD. Or, sorry, AAD. There are other lives that you can go to where I do display the dinosaurs. I also have a second channel which doesn't get a lot of love. I've been told that I need to do a better job at promoting it. So I'm going to throw out my other channel to you guys. don't leave like live to go, whoops, what was that about? The other channel is all about my collection behind me. So if you want to see videos about, yeah, if you want to see videos where I talk about the collection, you want to see the dinosaurs, you want to see the Godzilla figures up above, all of that information is on that channel. I don't think I do much with figures on this channel. I'm not ready to cave in yet and leave. But I do want to talk about... Oh, thank you. I do want to take a second again and talk about what's going to happen over the next week or so. I like to keep people informed as much as possible. We have a live we're going to do tonight at 7 p.m. It's the same information that I went over today, just at a later time. Usually, when I do 2 lives during the day, I like to switch it up so you get something different at 1 p.m. and something different at 7. I don't do that with the exhibit focuses. That's where we talk about usually a zoo from the United States and then a zoo from another country. I'm in the Central Time Zone. So when I say 1 p.m., just know that it's different from Eastern Time Zone. Tomorrow, I want to talk about what's going to happen tomorrow because there will not be a 1 p.m. live tomorrow because I am not going to be home. I should be home by 2 o'clock. So we will be doing a 2 o'clock live tomorrow. And the topic will be European hornets. And then Carol, we're CST, not EST. I don't know what... We're in the Central Time Zone. And then at 7 p.m., no, I'm sorry, at 6 p.m., we are going to do the bald-faced hornets, which if you live in the United States, you are very familiar with bald-faced hornets. April 15th, we have 2 subscriber-only chats. we will be doing the Sunflower Sea Star. Danielle, check out my other channel. There is a link I posted somewhere. We do occasionally talk about dinosaurs. You can check if you're subscribed, you can check out the channel and check out some of the videos. April 15th, which is Tuesday, we will be doing 2 subscriber-only lives. We will be talking about the Sunflower Sea Star and the Angel Shark. Those are going to be Learn to Care. So, that is coming up. Friday will be Exploring Nature. We are going to be doing the Pemba Palm at 1 p.m. And then later that day, we are going to be doing American Ginseng. And then, believe it's Saturday, we are going to be doing habitat focus on the Arctic tundra. And then at 6 p.m., if I'm reading this right, we are doing Arctic tundra. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. At 1 p.m., Arctic tundra, and then at 6 p.m., taiga. So, that's what's coming up there. The other thing that I want to address, again, for those of you that live in the United States, President Trump, before I go any further, I want to preface that I am not going to get into an argument on politics. That's not why I'm doing this. President Trump is going to be attacking the Endangered Species Act in order to better facilitate his goals. Things that he wants to do as president. So he's going to be weakening that. And also, he's going to be delisting the gray wolf off of the Endangered Species Act in the United States, meaning that it'll be open season on those animals. So that's some stuff that you need to be aware of. I think you should contact your senators and your representatives. I don't know if it'll do much good, but you can do that. The other thing I want to address, guys, is comments. I don't have a problem with you having opinions. Right? I mean, you're welcome to your opinions. I realize I'm probably not the best YouTuber, but I feel like I provide a service. My channel hopefully is all about education. I think I do that okay-ish. If you've never been in my live before and you're making comments about stuff, maybe you should come into the live during the live and be a part of it before you say that I shouldn't post or that it was horrible. We've had a pretty good week this week. Moderators, thank you for that. viewers, audience, thank you for that. I like to think I have a really good core group of subscribers who come in religiously each week, multiple times during the week. The channel covers everything that is nature, from rocks to fossils to plants and animals. We also talk about zoos, not in the sense that we do a lot of like zoo tours, because we don't. There are other YouTubers who do that, and that's great. That's wonderful. I am trying to get back into a routine. It's not going good. It will get better though. I promise. We have a really cool video coming out today. It is going to be later. Hopefully, I will have that ready for you guys an hour after live. It is on gruesome animal defenses. And I actually crack a few jokes. It's not anything super hilarious, but they're there. Now, I'm done with my spiel, so if you have questions or you have comments or you have stuff that you want to know, now you can throw that out there. The difference between wasp and hornets. Give me a second, Danielle, okay? Yo, hornets are bigger. Oh, don't be sorry. Never be sorry unless you've actually done something to say you're sorry. Oh, I messed up. Guys, one thing about it, if I make a mistake, you are going to know about it. So first off, Marie, they belong to the same family. Hornets and wasp both belong to Vespidae. Wasp are, generally speaking, a variety of colors and patterns. They can be social or they can be solitary. Hornets, on the other hand, are often black or white or reddish brown. They are very social and build large communal nests. Some of them bigger than a football. So one of the big differences is size, obviously, because hornets are bigger, right? And wasps are usually smaller. Usually. Not always, but usually. Does that answer your question, Marie? I hope. Danielle, what is it that you want to know about dire wolves? So bees and wasps, bees obviously pollinate. Wasp, on the other hand, are predators. So they actually help reduce insect populations across the board. So we don't necessarily like them because they sting and they hurt and they chase us, whatever. But they do have a role to play. Danielle, I really don't know a lot about dire wolves. I'll be honest with you. And up until the big announcement came out about them being back in existence, they have been extinct for over 1,000 years or more. So what we know about them comes from fossils. So I can't really address behavior because I don't know their behaviors. We've not been able to study dire wolves in the wild. We can... dire wolves? Or the name of the family? There were 3 that I might be able to talk about. Okay, so first off, these guys are larger than dire wolves. They're more robust. They have thicker legs and bigger heads, more pronounced shoulders. They're going to have a fuller snout. Their musculature is a little bit bigger. They are not the same animals as a wolf. So even though they're related, they're a different species. They're not even in the same genus. So, and that's basically what I can tell you. They can be, Carol, they can be. Because the European hornets are not black and white. The Asian hornets are not black and white. No, they are not. They are definitely not wolves. They're related to wolves in a sense, but they're not in the same genus. They're not, yeah. Hey, Sheldon. Jolie, do not come in here posting emojis and flooding my channel with emojis. if you're here, participate in chat, talk, that sort of stuff. But don't do that. I just asked you not to do that. If she's going to, if they're gonna keep doing that, thank you. I think that 60 seconds was a bit short, but that's okay. Thank you. It will be interesting to see what happens with these pups that they've unveiled. It's our first time. Not a problem, Sheldon. I'm sorry your eyes are not doing good. Oh, thank you, Danielle. It is sad. And messed up. So, Danielle, just so you know, typically what happens in my lives is there's a main topic. Once I discuss that main topic, I will let people know. I will open up the floor to questions, to comments, whatever. All I ask is during the time that we're having the main topic, that we keep things on a comfort level. I don't think we know what color they were. I don't know if there have been dire wolves that were preserved in the permafrost or not. I really don't know. I'm assuming their coats were not always white. But I really can't answer that. I would think so. If you're going to post emojis in my live, and that's all you're going to do, you will be excused again. And it's not going to be for a minute. It'll be for the rest of the it'll be for 24 hours. That's what's going to happen the next time that emojis pop up on the screen. You can talk, you can chat. If English is not your first language, I get it. We do have, and I'm always excited when we do our Danielle, I honestly, I don't know the answer to that. They first off, they can't. I don't know how much. I don't know the genetics. I don't know the genetics of these wolves that they created. The problem with DNA is that over time, DNA breaks down. So something like this. This is an Allosaurus. I know, Danielle. An animal like Allosaurus would not. Probably we're not going to see dinosaurs. Probably not. Not saying it can't happen. So do I. So do I. Now, I'm showing you an Asian elephant because based on what we know genetically, because we have looked at mammoth DNA, and we know that the Asian elephant is closely related to the mammoths. So if I wanted to recreate a mammoth, I could take mammoth DNA, which we have frozen mammoth that we could get access to DNA from that. And you could take the DNA from a Asian elephant and patch up that DNA. So That's the type of thing that we were looking at. It's not an easy job, and I don't think, yeah, they are working on mammoths. And I believe they're also working on thylacine. I seem to remember reading about that. I did not know about the dire wolves. I was shocked. This is my take on it. So, dire wolves went extinct 13,000 years ago. Okay? 13,000 years ago, the dire wolf went extinct. So somewhere between 10,000 to 13,000 years ago, dire wolves were gone. They have found really well-preserved woolly rhinos. They have found several, actually, as well as a cave lion. And I think steppe buffalo. I think that's what I've heard. I think them saying that they brought back dire wolves is kind of tricky, because they're not exactly dire wolves, from what I've heard. I don't think they're going to get away with any of these animals being 100%. even the mammoths are not going to be 100%. Nothing. Just chatting. On the other end of things, cereal. No, they're more than just gray wolves. Calling them calling them direwolves isn't right. Calling them gray wolves is not right. Because they're not. They aren't that either. So, what they did is they took DNA from two fossils, a tooth and an ear bone. It is not a direwolf, it is a clone wolf with mutations to make it look like a direwolf. We talked about that. Oh, I just saw something like 30 million animals are out there that we don't know about. So what they did is they looked at and studied that DNA. So Carol's actually more right than I thought. Because I admit, I haven't really done my research on this topic. I should have. They made 20 edits to the gray wolf genome and 15 edits in 14 genes to create. Yeah, I can see you, Ireland. To create this animal. They used the modified DNA to basically create embryos that were then implanted into dogs. One thing that's very important to keep in mind is, and somebody else said this, and it's true, you can't bring back an animal. You cannot bring back a species just by making another species look like it. So the fact that these things look like dire wolves doesn't necessarily make them dire wolves. Remember the mice that we talked about, that they recently talked about, where they made them woolly? I remember him. I remember them. Hello, Transport Time. I don't know how much that is going to play a part in other things. I saw it. I know it's a tortoise, but beyond that, I'm not sure. Marie, that is a very valid point to all of this. I don't know how much they altered the genetics, because, you know, they had to go in and do something to get them to look the way they look. Oh no! The tortoise did? And that's the big question, is what happens now that they made these animals? Here is what the company said. It was not trying to create a genetic replica of the wolves, the dire wolves, but rather produce animals that can fill the void that dire wolves left in nature and carry the animal characteristics that were lost when they went extinct. Here's the thing. Here's my take on that. Nature decided that the dire wolves were done. Climate change came in, killed them off. Bye. You can't. I don't know. I'm hoping they don't release these things, because we don't know the end result. What would be the end result? They've made changes to the DNA. If they release these things, Sheldon, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they are just wolves, and not dire wolves, if they get with a wolf, the traits that they made, that they gave to these animals, would be passed to other gray wolves, and who knows the end results. I don't believe the goal has never been, and I'm quoting Colossal, the company that did this. The goal has never been perfect recreation of the genes, but rather restoring the functional traits and ecological role of a lost species. Hi, Pineapple Owl. I don't believe why are people who talk about Native Americans stupid? Why are they not smart? Nobody's lying about them. Nobody's. The Native Americans, the indigenous people of North America, have done a lot of incredible things. The first settlements in North America would not have survived had it not been for the indigenous people of North America. Granted, Europeans were not necessarily to be trusted. Some would argue that white man should never be trusted. But no, they're incredible people. So I don't know where you get that they lie or cuss or that lie about them or anything like that. So I'm not sure. Where you're coming from. I myself have much respect for them. So the company they basically said they are not creating a species. All they're doing is restoring the functional traits and maybe the ecological role of a lost species. And I think that's important. The pups, yeah, the pups live on a preserve over 2,000 acres in size. They have 10 full-time, they have 10 full, they have 10 people who care for the animals. They are monitored using cameras, security personnel, and drones. They shouldn't need that at all. Hi, Deckett. Hi, Pineapple Owl. Let me just say hi now. They are working. Oh, we will. We'll get updated, I'm sure. They are working on the Tasmanian tiger, or the thylacine. And my hope is that we have enough material that maybe we can do more than just flip some switches. Pineapple Owl, they are working on bringing back the woolly mammoth. And they've already said the surrogate is going to be an elephant. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. Who would win between a Komodo dragon or gorilla? One, they would never meet. So this is completely hypothetical. But both animals are intelligent. My guess is the Komodo. The problem with the Komodo dragon bite, you are fine. We're all speculating. I personally think, I don't know how you can technically release them because they're wolves, but they're not wolves. They've had their genetics altered. slightly. Anything else? That is true. I don't know if the dogs that the DNA was removed from bones. From, I think they said, a tooth and an ear bone. The problem is, as I've already said, the problem is that dire wolves split off from dogs. No, it doesn't. So if you think of a family trees are never a straight line. They split off. And so if this is the main, like wolves, their tree looks something like this. You have wolves and you have dire wolves. And so they didn't recreate dire wolves. They went in and manipulated DNA to create the animal that they're calling dire wolves. Heaviest claw, I really don't know. So it's hard for me because I'm not a geneticist. It's incredibly hard for me to say where or when. Sheldon, I have to figure that out. Danielle, it's fine. I'd like to move on from that topic because I've said what I know. No, you're fine. It's just I'm not a geneticist. I haven't had a chance to really study in depth. And it just makes it hard. Snake Road would be cool. I need a naturalist buddy up here. Oh, I know what Snake Road is. So, for those of you who don't know what Snake Road is, I believe it's in... You're fine, Sheldon. Snake Road is a dirt road, a gravel road, out in the middle of nowhere. And snakes use it to move on migration. And not just snakes, but salamanders and whatnot. And during certain times of the year, they actually close down the road so that animals don't get squished by cars. I have no, Heaviest Claw, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's not entirely true. Because I have seen predators figure out how to get to ponds. I don't. I don't type that fast. So upcoming, why don't I do this real quick? I know. Let me give you an idea of what is coming up in videos. For the main channel. There's a couple of islands like that. I am running a bit behind on videos. But these are the videos that are slated to come out over the next 2 weeks. And like I said, I am running behind. But gruesome animal defenses, I don't remember who suggested it. But it was suggested by one of my subscribers as a possible topic. That will be coming out today. It just will be late. Tomorrow's video, hopefully, is going to be the elephant trunk. Talking about it as an adaptation. And then I'm going to do something incredibly brave. I'm going to be doing my favorite animals. But I don't really have a favorite animal, so these are some of my favorites that I just happen to pick randomly. I have lots of favorites. All animals are my favorites. And then we're going to look at some endangered species. And then the following week, we are going to be doing animals in space. I think that was Carol or Marie that suggested that one. Endangered species. Amur tiger. We're going to be talking about how plants communicate. Animal facts you would like to forget. So, probably some really gross topics on that one. And then we're going to be talking about a topic that's probably going to be up here a little bit. Eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So, along those lines too. And then I have to fill in a blank, and I don't know what I'm going to fill it in with, but that's what's coming up over the next 2 weeks. Guys, we've been chatting for an hour and 35 minutes. Is there anything else? I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the videos coming up because I don't want to give stuff away too much. But that is what is coming up. If there's nothing else, or if anybody else has any questions, I don't think there's... Oh, I want to remind you guys... I just want to remind you that there will not be... No, I am not. Not at all excited, but I will be there. I will be the carrots. I will somehow get into the mindset and be good. It's okay, Marie. But on that note, that's a good lead-in. Thank you, Marie. As a reminder, there will not be a 1 o'clock live tomorrow. It is being pushed up to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So for those of you that are in Europe, or those of you that are in other time zones, you need to adjust your mind a little bit so that you don't miss out. I really don't have anything else. Just want to remind you guys, when you come into my lives, there's a few things just to remember. One, I am not going to tell you my age. I'm not going to answer any questions about what gender I am, because if you can't figure it out, you don't need to know. Also, if you come into my live and you attack other people, you're going to be gone. I'm not having not going to play around with racism in here or anything, any type of hate. I know we got a little bit political today. As a general rule of thumb, this is not the place for it. The only reason stuff was mentioned is because it affects animals and plants. So when it affects ecosystems or animals or plants, I'm going to mention it. We are going live again at 7 p.m. Same topic. So if you missed it, if you missed the meat of today's live, show up at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and hear more about it. Really cool exhibits were discussed. With that, guys, I will see you later. I'm going to have some lunch. And then I'm going to hit videos up because I need to do that. Thank you and see you later. Sheldon, before I leave, do you have Facebook? I don't remember if I asked you that or not. Sheldon, do you have Facebook? Yes, no, maybe so? I don't remember. I'm hoping he's still here. Oh, okay. That makes it really hard. Anyway, guys, I am out. Have a good one. Love you all. I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Goodbye.